It's not what you know, it's who you know. How many times have you heard that? Well, I would personally push back on that a little bit. I believe that what you know and the resume you build is most important in landing a great job and having continued success in the workforce. But with that being said, having a network, a robust network of individuals, of references, people who will vouch for you is absolutely key, because you will need that in the workforce to have continued success. In this video, I'm going to talk about professional networking and how you can build a winning network to ensure that you land the job you want and that you continue success in the job market. So the first way to build a network is really the most profound way and the most effective way, and it's just to work extremely hard and be extremely reliable and be a respectable, amiable person to other people at work, to your clients, to your colleagues, to upper management, to your supervisor. That's the best way to build a network. That's how I've built most of my network, not all, and I'll get into the other ways. So be sure to watch this video through, because there are other ways to build a network, more proactive ways. But this way is just really by extension, by you working hard, being timely, keeping everybody apprised through communication, being dependable, being reliable, quality of work, these things, these undeniable competencies that you exhibit during your job. That's the best way to build a network, because now people are happy to vouch for you. You know, they say, oh, you know, I've worked with Daniel. That's my name. This is just an example. I've worked with Daniel. He was awesome. Each time I had a concern, he addressed it promptly. He kept me apprised along the way. He was always very kind, was always very cordial, always very professional. That's the best way to build a network. So if you don't have a network yet and you're a student, or you have an internship, or you just started a job, well, keep that in mind. Even as a student, this same logic applies. Work hard in that class, have good quality of work. When you turn assignments in, write papers, have tests, aim for high scores. So then that way your professor is happy to serve as a reference. He or she might even write you a letter of recommendation, which I've gotten multiple times from San Francisco State University and from Louisiana State University, an MBA reference from a professor. But of course, that entails doing well in their class, because if you're a student that wasn't a high-performing student or was a low-performing, then of course they're not going to be inclined to serve as a reference for you, regardless of if they've liked you personally or not, because you didn't do very well in their class. Like, people's reputations are on the line to an extent, because they're serving for you. They're vouching for you. So, you know, their reputations are a little bit at risk. So that's why it's imperative. That's the best way to build a network, is find an internship, find a professor, a class, do all the above, and just work extremely hard. Again, be very, very reliable, dependable, be on time, be punctual, work really hard, be industrious, have good quality of work, have a high standard for yourself, be professional, be presentable, have good communication skills, and everyone you're around is going to be happy to serve as a reference for you. Second way to build a network is really just building upon the first way, because the first way needs to always be there. You know, you never discard the first way to now use this way to build a network. That first point about being competent, and as competent as you can be, as reliable as you can be, as professional as you can be, is the foundation through which anything can even transpire to begin with. So that needs to always be there. You don't ever discard that. But what you can do to take it a step further, sometimes in being more proactive, is just having more conversations. Is going up to your professor, for example, after class, or finding out when their office hours are, and having a discussion with them. And as I said, these 2 points are sort of inextricably attached in some ways, because even if you do that, but you're a low-performing student, they're not going to, of course they'll have a conversation with you. You're paying for these classes, and you're in their class. It would be ridiculous for them to dismiss you But are they going to serve as a reference for you or write you a letter of recommendation? Probably not. They probably won't. If you're showing up late to the class and you're not turning in assignments on time and you're underperforming, again, even if they like you personally, trust me, they're not going to do it because their reputations are on the line. And it doesn't even make any sense. Why would they want to reward poor behavior or low performing behavior? Now, maybe if they saw that you were really trying and just struggling, then, that could be a different case. But this is when it gets a little bit more nuanced. But the point here is just put your best effort forth. But what you can do is book their office hours, have a conversation with them, just introduce yourself and get to know them, get their perspective on things. People really love to be that mentor, and they respect when you come up to them as a student or as a professional that might be a couple layers of organization beneath them. They like when you come up to them in most cases and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm looking to pursue this career. I'm here right now. What advice do you have? Can we connect on LinkedIn? I'd love to speak with you further. Can we schedule a call, a Zoom meeting, have a cup of coffee? They like that. And that's how you get to know somebody and build that strong network with them. So again, the best way to do it is just by exhibiting competency in all regards. That's the best way to do it, is having utmost professionalism, being competent, being hardworking, being communicative. That's the best way to do it. But sometimes to solidify it even further and be a little bit more proactive, you don't just do that. You also take opportunities to meet individuals and to go up to them. Like, I had a professor at San Francisco State that I still talk to. I still pick up the phone and talk to him. And it's not because he serves as a reference for me or wrote me a letter of recommendation, which he did. It's because I appreciate his perspectives. I'm intellectually curious. He's a really smart person. And we have good conversations. And I get very great takeaways from him and great advice and great suggestions and very informative perspectives. So that's something you can do to take it a step further where, say you're an intern. Well, go talk to somebody. And it does take a little bit of guts. You can't be so reticent. You can't be so shy. You do have to be a little bit bold sometimes to build a network. And just go chat with somebody. Say, hey, I'm an intern here. I'm a student at X university. I'm hoping to pursue this career out of college. I'm looking to pursue it. I'm going to be looking for this kind of job. What kind of advice do you have? Or can we connect on LinkedIn? And then get to know them a little bit. Get to know them a little bit. Ask them how they're doing and what interests them and how they got to where they got. Because people like to talk about themselves. My professor, Dr. McDaniel, I had him on a podcast and I asked him about networking. And he talked about how it's not just going to happen because you sit next to a student in a classroom. It's not just going to happen because you had this professor, as your teacher. So it's just going to naturally happen. No, you have to take these measures. And he talked about what I'm talking about. That if you have a student in a classroom, you guys are on a group project and he or she is smart and interesting, and then get their information, get their email, get their phone number, connect with them on LinkedIn. There's other kinds of events that you can attend as well. There's all kinds of networking events. If you go on Eventbrite, there's usually a lot of great networking events, and those are really great to network with individuals. I went to a couple before, and I connected with a bunch of people on LinkedIn, many of which had great jobs in construction and tech, all kinds of professionals, software engineers, project managers, civil engineers, all kinds of professionals, sales, going to career fairs as a student. Now, that's another great measure to network. You should be going to all those career fairs as a student because they're just a great opportunity. There's these employers that are setting up shop, looking for students just like you. So it's just a fantastic opportunity. Why would you pass up on that? It's free. It's a great opportunity, and you should be going dressed up, have a brief pitch to employers, bring resumes, bring cover letters, bring all applicable documentation, and you should be going and introducing yourself and connecting with employers. That's a great way to get started. The other thing that you need to be doing is building a LinkedIn. And most people have one nowadays, but you need to have a LinkedIn, even if you're a student. Make a LinkedIn and put the school that you're going to, because it's a great place to network. And you can even find individuals on LinkedIn and just cold outreach them and just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a student. I'm looking to pursue this career. I saw you have this job at this company. I'm going to be looking for a similar role. Is there any way we can connect? I won't take too much of your time. So that's also a really great, just like a great way to network with individuals. You should have a LinkedIn and should be proactive in connecting with people who are working in the industry that you want to work in, or have a role that's akin to the role that you're going to be looking for. So LinkedIn is another great way to network. And you need to have one. You need to have one loaded up, have all your work experience there, have the college you're going to, have a nice photo, have everything on there, have a good summary. So another part of this is that you need to be nurturing your network. You need to be nurturing them. You don't just want to be the person who only reaches out to someone in your network when you need a reference. That's not going to sit well with somebody. They might continue to do it for you if you're fortunate enough. But that's not, like, nobody wants to feel used. So that's why it's key to not just build, have a professional reference, but to build a genuine connection with somebody. Well, I have coffee with my network all the time. And, they're not just my network. I consider them friends and mentors. And we text and we email and we engage with one another on LinkedIn. And I'll drive out and meet them somewhere and we'll have a cup of coffee and I'll buy them a cup of coffee because they're helping me. They're serving as a reference for me. And once you get into the job market, you'll understand that having references is indispensable because you need them. Almost inevitably, as I've mentioned, employers will ask you to have at least 2 or 3 references, and they're going to call them or send them something that they need to fill out, but they're going to engage them to see what they think about you. So that's why you need to be nurturing your network. Don't just contact someone in your network when you need a reference, because that doesn't sit well with anybody. Email them from time to time. Say, hey, I just wanted to check in. How are you? I'd love to grab a cup of coffee with you sometime whenever is a convenient time for you. And again, this isn't to say that you're just using people and you're buying them coffee so that they continue to vouch for you. No, like, you want to build a genuine connection, because not only are they going to vouch for you, but in many cases, people in your network are also, again, layers of organization above you or just more experienced professionals that you can gain insights from and gain helpful perspectives. So they're can kind of serve as a mentor for you as well. And people like that, being in a position in which they can serve as a mentor. So it's kind of a best of both worlds. So this is where you get a fantastic relationship and just a very robust network. And you also need to make sure that you have as many references as possible. Like, you want at least 5 or 6. And in some cases, references have to fill out like a document. Like, the employer will send them a document. It's like a questionnaire. And it takes some time. It doesn't take a lot of their time, but it takes some of their time. And you have to be mindful of that. They're taking this time to do something that's solely for you. That's solely for the benefit of you. And, and again, they're going to do it if they're inclined to do it. But what if they do that for you, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, a month later, something happens and you don't work at that job anymore. And now you got another job, and now you need a reference again, and that company needs a questionnaire too. Like, you don't want to wear out your reference. You don't want to wear out your references because they're not going to want to do it for you every second. Likely they're busy. They might have families. They have jobs. They have personal lives. They have things to do. And they don't want to be hassled every second to serve as a reference. So that's why it's key to build a robust network that consists of many individuals. Because these things do happen. These are real life scenarios that happen where you get a job and for whichever reason, it can be anything, it doesn't end up working out. And now you find yourself back in the job market engaging references again upon landing a different job shortly after that one. And you don't want to keep hassling the same people. So this is why you need a diverse and an extensive list of references. And that happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight, but that's why you want to keep working on these things. So those are the 2 best ways to build a network. And again, that foundational component is just working hard, always exhibiting confidence, being communicative, being industrious, being professional, being on time. So these are the things that will help you build a network just naturally. And that's the best way to do it, because then somebody's ultra comfortable with serving as a reference for you. But then the other way that we talked about is being a little bit more proactive, is making a LinkedIn and having it up to date, is going to career fairs, is talking to professionals, your colleagues, clients, having conversations with them, going out of your way to learn more about them and to connect with them on LinkedIn and to grab their personal information, if it's an email or their phone number, to go up to your professor in your class, after class, or during their office hours and get to know him or her. Have conversations with them. Ask questions about the class. Ask for their advice on things. Cultivate a network this way, being more proactive in introducing yourself to people and getting to know people. And not only will you cultivate a network, but you'll also gain insights and perspectives from oftentimes people who are more experienced than you are, and have helpful and engaging advice to share. And please comment below what your experiences have been like building a network, because I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear the ways in which you've built a network and how you nurture your network and the impact that it's had on your professional career. Thank you for watching The Latter End.